is a path that no one wants to walk, but faith can become a beacon in that darkness. Today, in Thrive by the Rising Muse, we're honored to welcome a mother who's just not mourning the loss of her daughter, but also keeping her legacy alive with courage and love.
Her story is a testament of strength, love, resilience, even through unimaginable heartache. Join us as we explore her journey, one that speaks to anyone navigating grief, faith, and healing.
I'm Nan,
I'm Vita,
and we are here to thrive. Today, we have the privilege of speaking with Nancy Kinnear, an inspiring mother who's here to share the story of her daughter, Savannah. Savannah was an extraordinary young woman, a daughter, a business owner, and an advocate for cancer awareness. She was diagnosed at 24 with breast cancer. She lost her fight with metastatic cancer at the age of 30. But for 6 challenging years before she passed, she threw it all, fought it bravely, and worked to uplift and encourage others.
For Nancy, this journey didn't end with her daughter's passing. She's here to talk with us today about how her life is now as a grieving mother, her memories of Savannah, and the faith that has sustained her family. Nancy, thank you so much for being here today and for choosing to share your story with us.
Thank you both for having me and allowing me to be my daughter's voice.
Mm-hmm.
It's something she wanted us to do, was to continue her story. So thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's start with Savannah. How was Savannah growing up?
Savannah was a very quiet little girl, very shy little girl, but so loving. You know, as quiet as she was, everywhere we went, she made friends. And she was like that all the way till the last day of her life. She was one that would just cling to me all the time. If we'd go in public, you know, people would say, you know, does she speak? Does she talk? You know, and oh yeah, she talks, but you know, she wouldn't talk to anyone. But at home, oh my gosh, she was a non-stop talker. She talked and talked. She has an older sister, and they were like best friends growing up. You know, she waited for her all the time to come home from school, and we learned at an early age how thrifty she was. You know, I could take her to the store, and we'd have to be in the store for hours before she even spent even $1. You know, so that was Savannah. And she was always loving. She loved her family. She loved to travel, even when she was little. Loved to be outside, playing with her sister. She excelled in school very well. And anything she did, she was very goal-oriented. Anything she put her mind to, that's what she was going to do. And she always kept her humble personality and her quietness. I always said she had a quiet, fierce personality because she was just that way since the beginning. I mean, she was she was also my miracle baby. When I went into labor, her heart stopped. So I almost lost her that day. And I did. I prayed to God to please just let me be her mom, you know. I mean, it was love at first sight. You know, she was born with really blonde hair. It almost looked so white. And she grew up as a little redhead. And, I mean, God let me be her mom even for the 30 years. And I am beyond grateful for that. Beyond grateful. Yeah.
That's awesome. As she grew, who she was as a person beyond the battle of cancer, what made her light shine so brightly in your life?
Her big heart, first of all.
No, take your time.
Savannah, she loved with her whole heart. She always put others first, no matter what. And she was like that even when she was, a younger age. If she knew someone was having a bad day, she'd make sure to, even make them a little picture and give it to them the next day. As she grew older, she'd call them, she'd ask them if they want to go have lunch. And despite even, the days that she was not okay, she'd put that to the side. And she always said that, no matter what I'm going through, I'm going to be here for everyone. And she did that. I mean, her light shined so bright that, it made us even, look at life a different way, because we had our days too, but it was nothing compared to hers. But it's like, if Savannah can do this, we can do this, and she did that for a lot of people. She had a passion for life. I mean, she saw things in life that I never even thought of. The way she looked at the sky, the way she looked at even trees, the situation, she had so many reasons to be negative and be angry, during her life, but it was all the opposite with her. She smiled through everything. She held on to hope. She had unshakable faith. Her faith was powerful. This girl, we miss her so much.
I'm
And it's just
sure.
been a little rough. This is her favorite time of the year. She loved fall. She loved Christmas. She loved holidays.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing about Savannah was she loved to love on us. So, like, if our birthday was coming, she'd go out of her way. She made sure to go get us a little gift. It's like she was more excited about our birthdays than her own. But she was still super excited about her birthdays. So she always made us feel super special. And Christmas was her favorite time of the year. So this time of the year is a little hard on us because it's coming up. We would already have her house decorated by now. And she just loved it. I mean, the lights, putting up the tree, having hot chocolate, wearing the sweaters, snuggling under the bed. So, and then watching movies. Not just about the girl who had cancer. I want to be known beyond that. And I don't think she realized that it did shine through. All that did shine through. Even though she had to deal with it every day, her love came out. Her strength came out. Her courage came out. Her bravery came out. And she did that with everything in life. And some of her strength, it's still, even with the cancer, I think she found herself in a different way. God used that in her life, and there are beautiful things through it, even though it was so hard. As weak as she got at the end, some of the most powerful things that showed her true strength and her trust with God was the last time that she went for her appointment. She barely could walk. She was on oxygen. But she was determined to walk through the cancer center. She didn't want the wheelchair. And then she says, "Mom, I want to go take the stairs." And I said,
Wow.
"Really?" And I thought, oh, wow, okay. And I thought, I'm not going to, go against it. I was worried, of course. So we go to the stairs, and she walked from one floor to the next. And she says, get a video, because I want to show, everybody back at home, which her dad and her husband. So I got a little video of it, of her strength. And I thought, this girl, she's walking up these stairs, barely being able to breathe. And I mean, the strength that she had, it was beyond what we can say that comes from us.
Right.
And she wanted to drive one last time, so she did. And she just saw life that way. she still wanted to take that one more step, that one more thing to do. And that showed a lot about Savannah, which, I mean, left us, during this time to keep, our strength and to keep going. So
Definitely.
she was
Nancy, we
like,
understand.
yeah.
We understand how you feel. We've never had anyone to go through that, but our heart goes out to you because just thinking of my children not being with me as much as they drive me nuts,
Yes.
it's hard to imagine. It's really hard to imagine. But Savannah wasn't strong on her own. She came from you. She was in you for 9 months. And I believe, I know a lot of you was in Savannah. And she just wanted to show you what she got from you. Yes, definitely.
So, amongst her strength, we know that she turned her battle into a mission, that she became a spokesperson for cancer causes, and she even made a business creating earrings. Tell us about what inspired that journey of advocacy and how she used her platform. Tell us about her business and all that fun stuff that she was doing.
So she was diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer at 24 years old. And breast cancer is found most in women over 40 years old. So when Savannah found out she was diagnosed, she started looking into, different organizations. She looked for groups, cancer groups that maybe she can connect with because she felt alone. She really did. She had her fears, she had her worries. We didn't know what metastatic breast cancer was at the time. We didn't even know how serious the cancer was, period. And even, trying to get answers online, you read a lot of scary stuff. So she was trying to connect with other people, and she didn't find a whole lot out there for her age, because she hadn't had a family yet. At the time, she wasn't married yet. So she had questions, and she wanted that support to let her know that it's okay. These fears are okay, and we were there for her all the time, but we didn't understand on the level that she was at. So she decided that she was just going to start reaching out. So she started on her social media, telling her story, advocating for MBC because, there was a lot of people that didn't understand it. And then she found through that it helped her. It was bringing her some healing. And it wasn't only inspiring people that had cancer, it was inspiring people that were just going through hard times in life. And again, her strength came out, her courage came out, her bravery came out. And then as she was putting her story out, she started to volunteer. So she volunteered for several organizations and they used her story. So she also got, people reaching out to her like, hey, can you help me with this? Or do you know, I'm feeling this. What do you think I should do? So it brought a lot of healing. God used those moments of her fear, and unanswered questions. And he surrounded her with all these loving people, but at the same time, it came with a sacrifice because as she made friends with people that had cancer, she also had to go through the grief of losing these friends. So that was hard on her because she always said, Mom, that's going to be me one day. And it was hard for her to keep a job. She wanted to give back in some way. She had it in her heart. She always wanted to do for others. That was Savannah. So one day she decided, she says, you know what? Earrings. put them all together, even on the days that she could barely move. She was going through treatments, radiation. So she had all the side effects of being sick, and she'd still be at her desk working. And she did. She sold earrings, and she'd sell out probably every time she posted earrings, they were sold. But she also had earrings that she would donate to other women going under treatment. And I've got her little story. It's okay to read. And this is how she came up with her business. And her story was, when I lost my hair during chemo, my favorite accessory to wear with my head wraps were earrings. I wasn't confident enough to show my bald head, but when I wore earrings, I felt beautiful. This is what inspired me to create a beautiful purpose. And her mission was to make every woman feel beautiful when they look in the mirror, even on our hardest day. And then along with the sales, a portion of the earrings I create will be gifted to women undergoing cancer treatments. So her earrings went, all over the United States, some even to Canada, that she found some other women that were going through treatments. She'd donate them even to her nurses and doctors at her cancer center. They put them in the cancer kits and give them. So she put her little story in there so they can know that, someone else can relate to them. And that was Savannah. She was always wanting to give back. And with that, also, she had a lot of support. The community came together. And like I said before, she made friends all the time. So she had friends since elementary age, that they were still friends. And these people just surrounded her with love. They were there. Her best friend, her really best friend, has been there since day one of the diagnosis all the way to the end, and she was just so loved. But that's what she did to give back from her heart.
Well, knowing that you all are a family of faith, how did her hope and positivity, how did it affect you as a family?
With her being positive,
Mm-hmm.
That was our strength.
Mm-hmm.
We were able to see God work through her. It was hard on her. The cancer treatment place that we went to was about 4 hours away from our home. So we had to travel back and forth. That was a lot on her. Going through the treatments, hearing about the progression, all the side effects that she had to go through, the sacrifices that she had to do for the past 6 years. And my daughter was active. She was healthy. She loved to even just go window shopping. She was my shopping buddy. Most of her 6 years were spent in bed, but she chose to do it this way because she still had dreams and goals that she wanted to somehow reach, and along the way she had to learn that some of them were not going to happen. So she took this life with cancer, and she really truly made it beautiful. She'd say, it's okay to not be okay. She was true to herself. While she was uplifting herself, she was also uplifting us through all this. But she smiled. She smiled through it all. She never was angry. And she'd always say, I don't understand, why me? Why is this happening to me? But she was not angry. She just, she kept hope. And anything that would go on or whatever, I'd say, Savannah, let's just give it to God. Let's just give it to God. And she was in and out of the hospital. And there was a time that when she was in the hospital, her heart was collapsing. And by this time, the fluid was in her lungs. It was around her heart. She was bleeding internally. There was so much going on that she was in the ICU for about a week. And we didn't know if she was coming home. And she couldn't walk. And even through that time, she smiled. She was weak and she smiled. And I tell her, God's got something for you. You're still here. There's a purpose. So by seeing her smile and still getting up, even when she couldn't walk anymore, even making it from her bedroom to the living room, just to spend, some family time together, or to get up to watch a little bit of TV with her husband. All that she kept doing, and us seeing that helped us through that time, because, when you're there and you're watching someone you love who's in pain every day, you see them declining in front of you.
Right.
That's hard, to watch that. And as a mother, I couldn't do anything. So I felt helpless. I couldn't do a thing. I'd hold her when she cried, and I always just let her know that I'm there. When she lost her hair, which she did several times, I was the one that shaved her head. So even those moments, that God, when I look back, as hard as they are, I still cherish those moments, because God was there, through the whole thing. He kept Savannah focused, on life. And it's almost like she was the instrument for this family,
As you look back into the journey of these last 6 years, can you pinpoint a particular moment or lesson that moved your spiritual journey as a mother, or as you guys as a family?
There were so many moments, but as the years went on, it got harder. It was always hard, but towards the end, when we were spending more time in the hospital, I noticed that I was getting more angry with God, because I kept praying for a miracle, and asking God, you can heal her, you can heal this body. But as she was going through this journey, the scans were coming back, the cancer was progressing, she was getting weaker. So to me, it was like confirmation that, hey, she's not going to have that miracle that you're praying for. So one of the times that she was at the hospital, and this is maybe a year and a half before she passed, and she was really sick. And I usually got to spend, I wasn't working. My job was a caregiver for her. So her husband worked and her dad worked. So I got to go with her up there. And while she was in the hospital, it came the weekend. So her dad and her husband came up there. So me and her dad would go get a hotel right by the hospital, and her husband would stay with her because it was only, one guest. So at this time, my heart was just like completely broken. My fears, I was losing the strength. It was getting harder to see what I was seeing. Savannah had fluid in the lungs, and she had a tube that came out. So I had to drain, fluid from her body, and she got shots in the stomach, and there's so much that comes with cancer that, it's hard to talk about, but at the same time, you bring it out because it brings out her strength. It brings out that beautiful story that God wrote still in this, even though there's so much pain with it. So by this time, we were in and out of the hospital. She wasn't walking. She was on the oxygen. She was losing lots of weight. So we went back to the hotel, and by this time we were already in the hospital 3 or 4 days, and everything that was coming back was not good news. So when the guys came up there, like I said, we went back to the hotel, and, I woke up and I just couldn't sleep. I was just crying. And I was really like almost on my knees crying. It was a little after 3 a.m, and I'm shouting out to God, like, please let me know that my daughter's going to be okay. I needed something to know that she's going to be okay. I said, I want to bring her home. And at this time, Savannah wasn't ready. She'd say, Mom, I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready to go. So I'd pray, and I said, God, you know her heart better than I know her. And she's just not ready. I want to bring her home. please let me know that she's going to be okay this time. So at 3:28 a.m., I get a text message from my daughter. And the first thing it says is that, Mom, I'm okay. And I just started crying because I was right there in the middle of praying with God. And I get this message from my daughter answering what I'm asking God. And I said, how do you know I'm awake? And she says, I know you, Mom. And I said, how are you feeling? She said, well, I haven't gotten up. They were doing breathing treatments with her. And I said, okay. And she said, I'm going to go back to bed. I'm going to see you in a little while. And I said, yes. So I get there the next day and I said, how did you know to text me when you texted me? And she says, I don't know. I just felt like in my heart I had to tell you that. And I thought, okay. She said, why? And I said, because I was praying and crying, asking God to let me know that you're okay. And we were just speechless. I mean, completely speechless. And that moment is the moment that I thought, okay, you're here. You're with us. Like, we're not alone, in this. Even right now at the toughest, hardest part, you're here. So that kind of changed my view on everything, even though that didn't like take away, your pain inside or, that miracle that you're still praying for. But I was speechless. I mean, speechless. And that was like a whole lesson to me that, I got to continue trusting in him. I've got to. I cannot let that go. So that was like a really moment for my heart. And there was another one. Like I said, she wasn't ready to go yet. So another prayer that I had was I was asking God, if you're going to take Savannah, which with all the tests and everything, we knew the time was coming, and she knew the time was coming because she would say, I don't think I'm going to have much longer. And she kept saying, but Mom, I'm not ready yet. And I said, when you pray, you need to let God know that. So I told God, I said, I need to see some sort of peace in my daughter. I have to see the peace. I said, because she's scared. She's not ready to go. And, I don't think I can make it to see my daughter go this way. So when I finally heard the words from Savannah that, by this time she didn't have any more strength in her arms or legs. She could barely talk. It was more of a slur when she would talk. She was real weak. And I had to put her in the wheelchair to take her to the bathroom and come back. And so I was, cleaning her up. And that was hard, because she was so healthy before and so full of life, and I was watching her sitting in the chair where she just couldn't move anymore and couldn't eat, barely could speak. So I was there just, as I was cleaning her, I was thanking God for my beautiful daughter and thanking him because it was me that was there with her and that I was honored to be able to take care of her like this and to continue giving me the strength. So she finally said, Mom, I think it's my time to go. And it took everything for me not to fall on my knees. I didn't want to hear the words, even though I knew it was coming. And as soon as she said that, I saw the peace in my daughter. She had that life again in her face. She smiled again. And I just held her. I held her and I told her how much I loved her and how proud I was of her, how brave she was. And that was the moment when I knew that it wasn't just the words that I would tell Savannah, because I'd always say, I love you, but God loves you more than me. That I really, really felt that. Like, wow, I held my daughter. I knew that God loved her more than me. Yeah, and it was her time to go. So that was another one that kind of carries on to my grief. Those moments. And like I said, I could go on even till her last moment of life, her last breath. that I was able to be there. And God reminded me, the 30 years before when I said that prayer, please don't take my daughter. Because at that moment I wanted to be angry. I wanted to tell God, why? Why are you taking her back? And there was a reminder, you were here 30 years ago and I gave her to you for 30 years. So I got to hear my daughter's heartbeat for the first time. And I heard her heartbeat for the last time. And I was there and, I talked to her for the last time and I asked her, do you know who this is? And she nodded yes. She couldn't speak at that time. And I said, do you know how much I love you? And she nodded yes. And I told her, it's okay to go. It's okay. And only because I knew how much God loved her. And it was her time. So those moments that God gave me with her, as painful as they are, also there's so much beauty. There's just so much to that he allowed me to share with my daughter for the end.
See, let's talk about some beauty. Tell us about Savannah's win.
Oh my gosh. Well, first, she was the most beautiful bride ever. Savannah was also blessed with a beautiful wedding. She was unsure about even getting married. Her husband is Bertine, wonderful man who stayed by my daughter and loved her with his whole heart. Wonderful man. They dated about 10 years before they even got married. So they stayed together, from end of high school. She left to college and they still stayed together. And then when they got married in March of 2022. And she even told him, when she was diagnosed, she said, this is not going to be easy. So, make sure that you want to stay with me or you can leave now because I don't want you to leave later, when it gets really hard. And he's like, I'm not going nowhere. Like, what are you even talking about, So, marriage came up and she was scared, to marry because she knew her time would not be as long as she would want on this earth. And her loving Christmas, Bertine surprised her. We went, how the houses decorate for all the lights. So he had gone up there to ask the owners, if he could do a surprise proposal there with the lights. And with the lights, they played music. And it's one that you just drive through. So it wasn't one that you walk around. So, he had to have the permission. So we helped him out, Savannah's dad and I. And, we printed out pictures of them too when we put it along the lights and stuff so she could be surprised. And so she got proposed there during Christmas time. It wasn't on Christmas, but it was in that time. It was December. And it was December of 2021 because it was a year. And God blessed her with a beautiful wedding. He brought in all the right people. The lady that did the photography, she had been in this business, so she reached out to so many people that she told Savannah's story. And it was funny because, you go to the bridal shower, little conventions that they have. And when she stopped to talk to, her name was Holly, and she spoke to Holly, and Holly wrote down Savannah's name. And she was like, can I have... Holly wrote down Savannah's name. Is that what I said?
Yes.
Yeah.
And she wrote down Savannah's name, and she said, can I have your phone number and I'll reach out to you? And she's like, okay. So Savannah gets a phone call, and she's like, for some reason, I had to write your name down, and I had to kind of find out who you were. So I went on social media, read your story. She said, because her mother passed from MBC. But at the time, she didn't know that Savannah had NBC.
Right.
It's almost like God connected them. So she was like, I don't know why I felt in my heart. She said, out of all the people that I've met today, there was something about you that God put in my heart that I needed to talk to you again. She said, so I'm actually reaching out. She said, because I want to help you with your wedding. So she helped quite a bit where she brought in, the music, the decorations, she just helped us get it all together. And Savannah had a very big, beautiful wedding, and she got to marry the love of her life for Teen. And they had a beautiful wedding, them two. And it made it more emotional because we knew what Savannah was going through. And they did a dollar dance, and they took the money that they got and they donated it to nonprofit organizations for cancer research, is how they did that. So everybody was aware of that. And again, that's Savannah's heart where she wanted to give. They didn't use any of that money for themselves. They gave it all back. So with that, she got to meet a lot of people that were inspired by her. And again, that was more people following her story, getting inspired. And it was just beautiful, beautiful bride, their love story. Yeah.
Like you were saying, part of their love story was the fact that they both knew that they were not going to be able to have. They probably were going to have their until death do us part, but not, a long time to do that. In some of the dreams that she had, probably like being a mom and do some other things. How did they handle?
That was one of the hardest things, especially for Savannah, because she always wanted to be a wife and a mom, And early on, she found out after her diagnosis that the type of cancer that she had, she would not be able to have children. She did freeze her eggs, so she had the opportunity of doing that before she started chemo. But the question was still, did she want to use those eggs, and have a child that way? Because she couldn't carry the child herself. She would not be able to carry the child. And Savannah had a hard time with that because, one, she understanding any of it.
Mhm.
Having a hard time accepting that Savannah's not physically here, but I still trust in God today, and I'm just waiting to see what he's going to do with me next.
As you're carrying Savannah's memory and keeping her legacy alive, what would you like people to remember the most about her and the impact that she made?
Keeping Savannah's legacy alive is by telling her story, continuing to tell her story. She always say, if I even just help one person, just one person. So I'm hoping that by telling her story from my heart, from Mom's heart, that I can capture who Savannah was and inspire other people that, life is hard. We know that we're going to go through. God never promised easy days. He always said the opposite. We're going to go through hard days. We're going to have trials. And Savannah had them, like 6 years of it. And she never stopped loving. It's actually her love grew more. So I'm hoping that by telling her story, it gives me the opportunity to keep saying her name. It keeps her alive in my heart. And if I know that other people are inspired by the story, and, that keeps going, but it's not just her, it's what God did in her life, what God did for our family, that they'll see that even through the hardest, darkest times, trusting in God is powerful. Like his love, his strength. And I hope by sharing Savannah's story that they will see that, how God was there, because, we could have just been angry the whole time. We could have just threw our arms up and, we chose not to do it that way. And we were able to love on each other. We were able to do family dinners every Sunday. We took this life, and now I get to talk about it. And so I hope that this will encourage others in those ways, and be able to see Savannah's strength through that.
This is exactly what we needed you to do, because there are other parents and there are other families, and they're dealing with this grief that you and your family are dealing with. And your words of encouragement, telling this story. We don't get to see behind the scenes, but as you were talking, I could imagine in my mind the different things that were going on. And all I could see is Savannah smiling. I have never seen Savannah, but through you telling her story. And this is why God picked you as her mother, because he knew that you would tell the story. And when he saved her when she was born, he knew that this was going to happen in 30 years. But I truly believe with all my heart, he picked the right one to be her mother, to go through it with her. And now you can tell a story and encourage other people. And we appreciated that. That's why it was so important to tell Savannah's story. And we thank you so much for being open, vulnerable, raw, and we appreciate what God has done for you and your family. We really, really appreciate it.
There's something I want to say, and I'm the one starting to choke up now. The day that this, I want to tell the audience that the day that this episode comes out is today's Savannah's. It's going to be Savannah's birthday.
Yes.
This episode airs for the first time on December 1st.
Yes.
And Savannah would have been 31.
She would have been 31.
Yeah, because she passed this year, 2024. So when you hear this episode, keep Savannah in your heart, in your mind. Keep this family in your heart. And I think as an honor to Savannah, reach to someone who is hurting and give them a hug from Savannah, because I think that's what she would have done.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I'm the one. I always say I'm the one. And even if we finish this conversation, please stick around until the end of the podcast, because those who just listen to us on the radio, check out this episode on YouTube, and you will see a small honor little video that we are going to have at the end of our words with pictures of Savannah. So just because we stopped this part, don't click out. And if you are listening to us on the radio, please go to our website on YouTube at the Rising Muse and get to meet Savannah and see her face, especially as an honor of her birthday.
Yes. Yes.
I can't tell you how grateful I am for you and for your strength. I know you're going to keep Savannah's legacy.
Yes.
For those who knew Savannah, or for those who are just meeting her, if they want to support you, we are going to have in the description on our YouTube and our website her social media, because we know that's where you're going to continue her legacy. And we want everybody within the sound of my voice to be able to support you through that journey.
Yes.
Thank you for being her mom and for being there every day.
And thank you for having a mother's heart.
And being so strong, because being a caretaker is not easy.
I've been there.
We've been there.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it is not. It is not. And when you love someone and you see, like you said, deteriorating every day, and you know eventually they're not going to be here, it's not easy. So I appreciate your faith, your strength, and the fact that you have taken all that God gave you and allowed Him to make it for good, and for to make it a mission, which I think is part of what God does throughout our lives, is gives us hurdles. But it's so there was a story I was hearing the other day, and it's kind of a joke of someone who fell into a hole and talked to somebody, and the person gave him some instructions and left. But then a friend comes by and says, you need help, and the person jumps in the hole with them and said, well, now we're down here. How are we going to get out? Because I've been here before. And I can't help you out because I've been here before. And I think that's part of why we go through some of the things we go through, is so that in this imperfect world, we all know that we're going to go through hurdles, so that we can lock arms and help each other. And like you said, that's kind of our thing too. If we can help one person, I know it's going to help more than one. So I'm grateful. I'm just grateful for you here. Thank you for being here, Nancy. And welcome to the Thrive family.
Yes.
Or however we can help you.
Yes.
We're here for you.
God bless you.
God bless you.
Thank you.
For anyone listening who's facing their losses, we hope Nancy's story reminds you that you are not alone. Though grief is often private pain, sharing these experiences can bring a lot of healing.
We here at Thrive by the Rising Muse like to continue those conversations that don't just heal, but they inspire us all to keep going. Remember to subscribe, like, and share this episode with someone who you think could benefit from this story.
Remember that if you're experiencing a mental health crisis, please dial 988. And if someone you love is experiencing a mental health crisis, please dial 911 or take them to the nearest emergency room.
Yeah, emergency room.
Yes.
If you think you're in a domestic violence relationship and need to talk to someone or get assistance, please dial 800-799-7233 or text 887-888. Make sure that you're in a safe place when you're reaching out for help.
Thanks for joining us today, and we'll be back next week with more voices and stories of resilience and hope. Until next time, don't forget to thrive. Have a blessed day. Bye-bye.